personal Google to be able to launch UNNC's YouTube,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
which, is strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are now being live streamed on YouTube.
Cool.
And Teresa's here. It's 7:02.
Hmm.
Hi, Teresa. Oh,
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Teresa.
so as usual, we'll wait till 7:05. And Teresa, it is already live streaming to YouTube. And, anyway, Carlos, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Teresa, and Carlos, I'm not positive John is or isn't coming. He just asked me to start it at 7:05 if he's not here, because he seems to be in a persistent state of jammed at work.
Gotcha. Certainly identify with that.
Yeah.
If I can ask a question, since we're not starting yet.
Sure.
What we're discussing tonight is the South LA CPIO. Is this part of what's going to be happening at the Planning Commission on the 13th?
No, I don't think so. I think the timeline is that on the 12th, UNNC's letter is due, and then this item goes to the Planning Commission in November and to City Council in December. So for efficiency's sake, we put on the agenda for tomorrow night all three things: letter, possible resolution, possible community impact statement, so we might not have to come back over and over again. But that would have been if John and I were efficient and had actually already drafted a community impact statement, which we didn't. So I just thought for tonight, we would discuss it a little further, and so that the very drafty letter could be less drafty for tomorrow night.
Yes. No, I guess I'm asking, the City Planning Commission is having a meeting on the 13th.
Right.
And it says on here, the plan area is South LA, Southeast LA, West Adams, Baldwin Hills. So I wasn't sure if this small segment, I can send you the link if you like.
Yes, please, because maybe I don't know. In which case, I will be pulling an all-nighter.
I'm just not sure if this was a part of that or if this is something separate. It does have a different code, but I don't know. So I just sent it. You can.
Okay, right, and I'm looping back. I have so many tabs open, and then every time I launch the YouTube, it goes all the way to the right, and my email is all the way to the left on the open tabs. So I'm just looping back there, and boy, it's taking a long time. And I do believe Donna's coming tonight as well, but now I'm not looking at the Zoom, so I hope she's not in the waiting room. Really taking a long time. I've got to clean this up.
Well, it's a PDF that's 400 pages. So let me see if I can just send you the link that I received from them and just forward that to you.
Okay.
I
do love those 400-page staff reports, and that's a joke.
Oh my goodness, so many emails.
Yeah, well, I'm opening this now. So, but again, I'm watching the green line stream across that indicates it's downloading. It is however, 7:06. So I should probably officially call the meeting to order while that's happening. Hi, Donna. And yeah.
Hello, hello everyone.
How are you?
Great,
Donna.
just fabulous. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Teresa.
Hey, Donna.
We're small but mighty
Oh.
group.
You know what? This isn't, you're right. No, it is, oh, it's the TNP. Transit.
All I know is that it says something about South
yeah.
LA. I mean,
Yes.
it is for the Slauson corridor, but it does say South LA, and I know we're talking about that tonight, so I wasn't sure if this.
Yeah, no, that I see what they're doing is very confusing. It seems that what they're doing is amending piecemeal different pieces of this existing community plan implementation overlay district CPIOs. So this one is for the Slauson sub area, and it seems to relate to a transportation corridor. And our topic is a similar piecemeal amendment to the CPIO ordinance, but for a different reason.
And
So
a different part of South LA.
Yes.
Also. Right, all right.
Yes, although that's part of our concern so far. Okay, let me call this meeting officially to order. And I will introduce myself, even though everyone knows me. I'm Laura Myers. I am the co-chair of UNNC's Planning and Zoning Committee. Since there's only 4 of us here, why don't we just go ahead and do introductions while I share the screen with the agenda. So Teresa.
Okay, thank you. I'm Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC. Carlos?
Yes, Carlos Carrick, also a member of at large at West Adams UNNC as well.
Donna Jones, West Adams Avenues is the only group in the house tonight. Was this planned?
No, it was not planned.
Telling
No,
you.
it was not. Yes, and thank you. So we have UNNC standing rules for committee stakeholder voting participation, and basically anyone who is a stakeholder to our neighborhood council may participate in, make motions, and vote related to any item that's on this agenda. And we are all stakeholders, so we don't need to do any voting affirmations. On the agenda tonight, basically, is what we were just discussing in advance, the South Los Angeles Community Plan Implementation Overlay CPIO amendment, apparently one of several, related to our character residential overlays, legacy overlay neighborhoods, and as well some commercial corridors to amend those areas to comport with new state laws. And we have follow-up to previous cases, and we also have public comments. So I'd like to just also note that we are holding this meeting virtually based on the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, Bach, with guidance from the city attorney, having established that the department and Bach have the authority to adopt AB 361 findings, and that due to the COVID state of emergency, meeting in person would present an imminent risk to the health or safety of attendees. And with that, I'm going to stop the share, open up public comments, and Teresa, may I ask if you would just moderate that? The front doorbell is ringing and ringing and ringing, so I need to step. Thank you.
And since we're on public comments, I would like to make a public comment that you guys may have noticed this or heard about it yesterday in the news, but the city now has reenacted their speed hump program. They have a couple of $1 million, and blocks that are interested in this can submit the paperwork. I'm trying to figure out how to put the link in the chat. But I do know that there were other people who attend this meeting occasionally who were interested in having that on their blocks. I'm not recommending it for our block, or for 25th, but there are people who maybe they're streaming. And if that's the case, that that program is now been reactivated and is available to the city. Yes, Donna. You're on mute.
Okay. Our neighbor up the street actually wrote to me about that tonight, and I think he's going to fill out paperwork. So I said, go for it if you felt like it. Why not?
Yeah.
We were
Which
already
block?
working. Maybe 7th Avenue. He's a 7th Avenue neighbor. So we'll see whether it even goes through. It's pretty strict. Everyone who applies doesn't happen. And we are working on modifications of a larger sort. So I'm not gonna stop anybody from filling out papers. It doesn't hurt. Wanted to bring up Carlos in the neighborhood on 9th Avenue, right next to you, a couple houses north of where Linda resided at 2524 and behind Teresa. They are requesting they put in a request for being able to demolish their garage in hopes of doing an ADU. And I don't know where and how, but neighbors on 9th reached out to me, who I reach out to normally, and they don't particularly participate. But I found it interesting that they reached out to me, so they had been notified about the request. And I'm hoping we put it out to several spaces, not sure where we should go with it, but that is information for you, Carlos.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the house that you're referring to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll kind of leave it at that. Interesting. Thanks for the heads up, though.
And if I could just comment on that, if that is an original garage, it would have to be approved. The demolition would have to be approved through the HPOZ. So as I mentioned, James tried to get some information, wasn't able to find anything, but thank you very much for bringing that to everyone's attention, Donna.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk to planning and zoning about it, but this particular committee, so we need to get information, of course, and I'm not sure where else we should be going to.
Yeah.
Because information is key.
When does the HPOZ meet next?
Their schedule has changed. I don't know. Now it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Tuesdays, the second Tuesday. I don't know what it is, but now they have a new planner. Yes. So I can find out, but I don't know when that is.
Right. Because I will say there's been trouble, or at least concerns and issues, in the University Park HPOZ and in the North University Park Design Review Board, where they've sort of moved away from even asking, the HPOZ staff has moved away from even consulting with the board on the demolitions of garages or construction that makes them no longer look like they used to look, either, in other words, major alterations, saying that it's ministerial, which it's not. In a historic district, the retention of the character features didn't go away when ADUs were made ministerial. So it's an unusual situation. There's been some glaring bad things in those areas, capped by on Fraternity Row in a former CRA area, but Fraternity Row was called out as a National Register district. The approval of constructing a new ADU in front of the house in the front yard.
Oh,
Exactly, right. And with the reasoning being, well, there's no room anywhere else. And it's like, yeah. So this is a difficult topic. So
no, it's not. No, it's
well,
not.
I'm saying it's becoming a difficult topic with the city because it's been there's no one who's taken on any of the major ones as a test case, you know, because it's kind of like they're gone or they're altered before anyone knows anything. So, but
Well, we know about this, and
right.
maybe we should try to figure out who we're supposed to reach out to. That's why I wanted to make sure
Sure.
it was brought forth tonight. And I am asking Derek and Linda, because he does a wonderful job of research. So
Correct. Teresa?
Donna forwarded to me a copy of the demo request, so I will submit it to you and John, and if we could put it on the agenda for the next meeting so we can have a more
Sure.
robust discussion.
Right.
That would be
And
great.
if there's a findable permit for the garage, that's probably the most useful thing. If it's on a Sanborn map early and appears to be the same size and shape as it is now.
I'll ask Derek if he
Okay.
could research that out or
Right.
suss it out. And if
Yeah,
I
it's
can-
just sometimes very difficult in your neighborhood in particular because the Avenues was part of the annexation in 1909. So there's houses that predate that and garages that predate that. There'd be no building permits for anything before the annexation, but there might be old maps that would show it.
That's Derek's expertise. So I
Okay.
will definitely, he loves to be able to figure out, find a problem and try to deal with it. You know him, so.
Okay, cool. Are there any other public comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the address again, Donna?
2524,
Okay, thank you.
9th.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. I'll forward to you as well what I was able to, Derek had found.
Okay. Oh,
And
Okay.
you probably have in your mail a notification because they notified all the way to the cul-de-sac. And I have a copy of that too. I'm going to send it to you right now.
okay. No, and we can move on. I was just pulling it up off of the city permit list.
Great.
Okay, so the main item is this discussion about and review and approve. We don't actually have a final comment letter. I have a draft-ish, but the comment letter resolution and proposed CIS related to the new proposals from the city planning department to amend portions of the South LA Community Plan Overlay District. So it seems like this idea to expand the number and geographic scope of the character residential overlay zones started out sounding like a really good idea. The planning department actually did a presentation here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And they had worked with the NANDC, the neighborhood council just to our east for the last couple of years, trying to put in protections to the areas in particular just west of USC and south of the Adams Normandy HPOZ, which ends at 29th Street. Because what's happening is so many basically student housing developers have been buying up the single family homes and tearing them down and building up big student housing. Many of those single family homes housed families who were renters. So there's been a huge amount of displacement along with, architectural, wiping clean the neighborhood of character houses. So the original idea was to just expand the HPOZ or put in a character residential overlay, and create a new one. So the planning department decided to go a little farther and expand the character residential overlay zone, CPIO, not just west of the university, but also south of the university. And so again, good if your concern is protecting families from displacement and also protecting the character of neighborhoods. Unfortunately, when they did that, they made a couple of other decisions. One was that they're sticking to their original plan that was rejected by the Planning Commission in 2017 and utilizing Survey LA as the basis for determining whether or not an individual property is considered an eligible historic resource. And in 2017, the planning department actually rejected using only Survey LA because it was even then outdated, incomplete, and inadequate. So it missed entire blocks in our neighborhoods, and it missed even more entire blocks down in those other areas. So Donna, you might remember, I had done a presentation a couple of years ago at the Avenues on our old farmhouses, and it missed all of them. So Survey LA didn't see the 18 farmhouses I had shown in that presentation. So NANDC had said, please just use the phrase any building 60 years or older. The planning department refused. The ordinance is going forward with the use Survey LA. The Planning Commission and the City Council had already rejected that approach and had voted instead to use Survey LA, or at least quote other historic resource surveys. They have, between the time throughout South LA, between the time this plan was implemented and now, there's been constant battles, and UNNC had already written a letter about it. So that was the basis of the letter we wanted to write again, but update it to this current case. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is they've decided to only amend the ordinance, even though they're talking about character residentials, for that area, and not do any of the tweaks they're talking about in the existing 10 character residential overlay zones. And they're also adding protections for tenants, but only in the new area and not for the existing CPIO, and so on and so forth. So that's our concerns. I can show you the letter, the original draft letter that was approved by UNNC to send to the planning department a couple of years ago, although it still needs tweaking. So I guess I should ask Teresa and Carlos and Donna, do you want to see the draft letter tonight? I mean, how do you want to handle this? I mean, I'm happy to share. John ended up going out of town. That's what happened. Go ahead. No, Teresa, go ahead.
Okay. I'm not sure if I personally need to see the old one. I think just the new one, but I also have a recommendation that I would like to add to this new one, if I can discuss that right now.
Sure.
So I was looking at the fact sheet for this proposal. And it says, and I'll just read a little bit of it, the proposed amendments would create a new administrative process to review projects within the new CPIO protected unit area. So if that's what they're talking about, creating a new administrative process, I would like to add the following. I've put it in the chat, but I will also read that because it is not very long, but it is a little bit long. So just a second. And it says, as part of the new CPIO process, we recommend that all tree-related activity be conducted by UFD. including an initial site assessment to evaluate and document the presence of existing trees. This assessment is to take place prior to an application being deemed complete, and the accompanying report to be included in the project record. This recommendation also aligns with other city-related tree considerations, including City Motion 15049S2. So if we could, since they're creating a new process anyway, why not make the evaluation of trees a part of that?
I agree. I mean, I was so astonished when they said, oh, but it's only going to be this one area. And it's like, no, I mean, when you amend something, I mean, it's just typing, you know, it's just typing. That's all it is. Just type it in. You know, I mean, forgive me for being what cynical, is that it? So one of the things, so basically, along with all of our concerns about how they identify what's a historically eligible, we've been concerned that they've allowed demolitions, you know, between late 2018 and now, there have been demolitions that were cleared by the CPIO staff without related approved plans and building permits, even though actually the ordinance says you can't do that, but they do it anyway. The staff does not appear to be fully trained in Secretary of Interior standards. If you go over, driving from West Adams Avenues into Arlington Heights, if you go over the 6th Avenue Bridge and do the swing around on 5th Avenue and 21st that everyone seems to be doing now to sadly avoid the speed humps that are on 6th Avenue. But it seems that the CPIO staff has permitted the change out of the windows of a contributor in the Arlington Heights CPIO that's on the corner of 5th Avenue and 21st. And it's supposed to not be happening. So the administration doesn't seem to be well trained, I guess. And we wanted to, well, again, these are all pieces of letters we've already approved, that the city should fulfill its promise to treat the character residential CPIO districts as HPOZ light districts, as was stated by the planning department staff, that the city would do when the overlays were proposed to community members. There's a paragraph about that. And then displacement issues, it's important to prioritize the anti-displacement strategies that are worthwhile having. So they're adding anti-displacement strategies, but aligned with what the city attorney has said, which is very minimal. They're not, you know, UNNC's position is if you're going to, for example, tear down a 4-unit building to build a 20-unit new building, to get extra incentives, you need to replace the 4 units and then add the required affordable units. So that might end up with 7 instead of just 3. And the city attorney is saying, well, wait, the state law only says a total of 4 because you had 4. So they would only need to replace 1 of the RSO units and then add 3 affordable. And our position is no, replace all of the RSO and then add the ones that are getting you your incentives. So, I mean, these are just the things we want to comment on. You know, we've talked about commenting on. I just had hoped either John or I would have had time this weekend, and neither one of us did, to get it farther ahead. But what we're talking about is taking bits and pieces of letters we've already approved and put it into a new letter. And then, like I said, there's one thing about what is historical, and the problem with what the planning commission did in 2017 by saying or other survey is that the planning department has rejected 100% of other possible surveys and any means to create them. So they won't accept the existing ones. They're not using the CRA, Community Redevelopment Agency surveys. They're not allowing communities to pay for an inexpensive survey, utilizing perhaps a self-employed expert to do an initial. They're requiring that's not possible, requiring that the community use one of the 6 or 7 firms that are listed as approved firms on the city list, but those firms would charge $100,000 to $200,000. So, I mean, and they're just making it impossible. So NANDC decided to just say 60 years or older would be considered an eligible resource. And then if a project is proposed at that site, that's when an individual evaluation would happen, which is sensible. And so we want to take that as our position. It sounds like a good one. So, but I don't think we want to sit here and write a letter. I would like to add what Teresa wrote. And does anybody else have any thoughts to add to this?
No, I agree with Teresa. Fantastic. Actually, like you said, to get it in now, right? Which is the best time to put it in.
Right. I mean, it's just they're amending an ordinance, just amend the ordinance. And then the other thing that we've asked for is that it's still such a secret. I mean, the city planning department still to this moment, as they're discussing the Mills Act and that, the dumb way they're approaching the revisions to the Mills Act, but they're saying because we want to expand the program to make owners in the character residential overlay zones eligible. But on ZMIS, they still have not added a column where it says historic preservation, yes or no. You still get no when you go to an address in a character residential overlay. All they have to do is change that to yes and add a column of eligibility in the click through next level on the website, and right now it has 3 columns, just add a 4th that says character, and they haven't even done that. So these are the kinds of things we want to be fixed. So.
And are they being open to doing anything?
No.
Or should neighborhoods do a class action against?
Well,
something. What are other cities doing? Because we have other cities nearby who are historical. Are they just purposely damaging LA's, or what are other cities doing?
I don't think they're looking at what other cities do. I feel like they're only sort of complying with what was initiated in the first place. This was initiated by Marquise Harris Dawson in Council District 8, because again, they have a whole task force there, and there's been a huge amount of displacement and demolition. So I think this is one just like the tree one with Marquise that may have a shot at the city council level of being massaged. But I will say it's very disappointing because they didn't seem to get the message in 2017 when the Planning Commission said, no, you can't proceed the way you're proposing. We agree that Survey LA is insufficient and out of date. It's more out of date now. And they literally told the staff, this was like a day-long hearing, but they basically said to the staff, we're going to take a 30-minute break, and you need to talk to each other and come back and explain to us how you're going to get to yes, we're going to change the language. So staff did, and they agreed to do it, but they didn't really do it. They didn't implement what they said they would because they're not using the other surveys. So again, I think we have a chance, but I do feel like there's a problem at the staff level of truly getting it through either way. Even if the Planning Commission and the City Council agree with us, and NANDC more importantly, because they've been the ones working on this for 2 years, it does not mean the staff will change its opinion when it comes to case processing. But I think we have to try. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're going to add Teresa's to the draft, and I will get this in a better, more proper format for tomorrow for the board meeting. Okay. Anything else on this? Record setting a short meeting. We have one more item, which would be follow up to previous cases, ENS, and old business discussion and action. And I think, Donna, you may have something.
Yes. for those who know about 1850, 1860, whatever the correct address, Manhattan, the Debbie Allen Dance Academy is a lovely opportunity to bring culture to the community, but they failed to come up with a plan for parking, and half the world wants to attend. So they have, over the last little while, I'm going to say several months, taken the entire street as theirs, parked on one side, valet parked empty cars going north, valet parked empty cars going south, and left a trickle in the middle. There are 4 lanes, one with parked cars of neighbors, or maybe some of them, and then the 2 lanes, one north, one south, and in the center, cars are coming at each other. Can you guys picture this in your mind? You're going to the Food for Less, and there is a car coming from Food for Less directly towards you. There is no, they just come at each other. And yes, and they literally, it's almost like someone's going to get out and start fighting one day because someone's going to be overtired. So I wanted to say that we've talked to the local deputy, Danielle. Everyone knows Danielle. I talked to neighborhood prosecutor for the area, found out who it was, talked to them, talked to the SLO a little while back. And now, because I am such a smart person, I reached out. This evening, I copied you on it, Laura. I got a response from parking enforcement. So heat is being put on, Laura. When parking enforcement showed up, all the cars disappeared this evening. So it's just been.
You got a response already?
Yes, this evening. I told you our wonderful Lieutenant Price is an angel. We're lucky we got her. She cleared 23rd Street behind the park. Teresa knows about it, and the 18-wheelers and the others. They've cleared that, and they're working on just making sure our permits are being followed. But that's something I wanted people to know about. We love the idea of the Dance Academy, but they got some friends in high places who were willing to allow them, I believe, to do things in a way, because they literally, I know someone who runs a valet parking, and he refused to work for them. They had no place to valet the cars to, and he wasn't going to be running the neighborhood up there trying to find places to put cars. So he refused to work for them. He turned the job down. So right now they have something they're going to have to figure out. And of course, you guys ask, Donna, why are you doing this? You don't live on Manhattan Place. You don't live on Western. You don't live on anything. But I just felt it's really unfair to the community there. And so Crazy picked up another job to try to work with. But just wanted to let you know, things are happening, and they will figure out their parking issue very soon, I'm sure.
Right. Well, they probably could temporarily work something out in the space behind the Food for Less.
I definitely believe so.
But that is poised for construction, and they have not, the owners of the property have not given up the idea of building. It was a really beautiful 182 units, I mean, huge. They haven't given up. They just extended their approval. They just paid to extend the approval period with the city on that. So, but they're not building yet. So that would be a temporary solution. I don't know what a permanent solution would look like.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Because why go to all that trouble? And she's very well connected. So
Sure.
many people want to come to events and
Right.
do things. In fact, the night of the 20th anniversary, we were discussing the fact they had an event that night. And just last week, there was something with dance. And that was that was Thursday night, remember, Laura? And they were everywhere again. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do, but they're going to do something. Let's figure this out. But now on a regular basis, parking enforcement will be going through between 3 and 8 every evening.
Okay.
At
Great.
that site. And we will see what happens. I just wanted to share this with everyone.
Thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate it. I was there, whatever, if it was Thursday, as you know, but what I witnessed as I was driving southbound carefully and slowly on Manhattan Place, because it really was only kind of a lane and a quarter, I saw a car that was parked correctly on the east side on the curb, trying to get out and squeezing between the double parked cars, also on the east side. But as it was emerging from that, a vehicle came from Washington Boulevard quickly northbound, and the two almost collided. So yeah, it was very scary. Teresa.
Not to add on to this whole parking thing, but a couple of weeks ago, I don't know why, at this time of day, I was making a right off of Washington near the Carson Gore Academy.
Mhm.
And there were people double parked there, and I could not get by because there are so many parents coming in the other direction. I just had to wait and wait and wait. They were two people double parked, not in their car. I believe they were at the gate waiting for their children. And I was like, what in the world is happening? So I don't know. I mean, I think Donna, someone has brought this up before, that there needs to be a police officer or traffic or somebody there not allowing those.
So on 3rd Avenue, are you saying?
On 3rd Avenue.
Wow.
I was on Washington making the right. It was, I don't know, 2 or 3 o'clock. It was school dismissal time. So, and there were 2 cars double parked with flashers on, not in their car. They were in the, must have been at the gate, because there were probably 15, 20 parents at the gate waiting. But the point is that I was behind them because I just made the right turn, la-di-da-di, and I couldn't go around them for a long time because of all the cars that were coming.
Well, and that's interesting, because not that it would be a good thing for the neighborhood, but when they went through the whole EIR process on that school, the idea was that parents would go over to 2nd Avenue, which does not go through anymore, right? So you go to 21st Street, northbound on 2nd, and westbound on the new, whatever the name of the street is that they created by the front of the school. That was where it was supposed to be pick up and drop off.
No, this was the gate. This is on 3rd.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm saying that's completely different than what was in the plan.
Yeah.
And again, not that what I just described would be fun for people who live on 2nd Avenue.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be bad. All right. So I feel like school pickup and drop off is really an important thing for the LAUSD, which is different than the dance academy, to deal with, because it's so dangerous. I mean, what you're describing, Teresa, is dangerous. And over on Manhattan Place, they also are leaving their cars. The cars are empty.
All the cars
all of them are empty, but some are empty.
They're inside at a show or a class. They leave those cars, and the security guy, there isn't enough money for me to work for them. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Like, somebody's going to clock him one day, and it's going to be crazy. So
yeah, so
I'm helping him. So that's my excuse. I'm helping that security guard.
Well, you're helping keep children and their maybe not so bright parents safe.
Yes, indeed. And I'm also making sure Debbie Allen can't blink her eyes and be coy with anyone from the 10th district. I am going around that. I go directly to the neighborhood prosecutor and to parking enforcement doesn't care if Debbie Allen comes out to say,
Right.
hi.
Right.
They're going to tell them they better move those cars. So it's
Okay.
gonna, I'm excited. We'll see where it goes. I'll report back.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? I got nothing.
Hey,
Okay. Well, I think we can adjourn the meeting then. And I'm going to save the chat because I realize we're not recording this to Zoom. So if anybody else wants what Teresa wrote, you need to save the chat, please. And with that, let's adjourn. Thank you.
thank you, everybody. Good
Good night.
night.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Have a nice, be safe.
You too.
I'll see you.